Hello, I'm Mr. Phillips, candidate for chair of the California Democratic Party African American Caucus. I'm shooting this short video to share our platform with you. The first plank of our platform is to listen to the membership. Our organization is too big and too important for one person to try to go it alone. The second plank of our platform is to give every member who wishes to participate in the activities of our caucus the opportunity to do so. We have the ability to do this. Our caucus has multiple standing committees. Unfortunately, though, those committees have been vacant for quite some time. If elected, one of the first things I'll do is reactivate our committees and give you an opportunity to participate in the governance of your caucus. The second thing we'll do together is reinvigorate our regional director program. Currently, we have directors in some regions. However, we need directors in every region working on the ground with our churches and community organizations to increase the political influence of African Americans in the state of California. The third plank of our platform is regular communication. As it stands now, unless you're a member of the E-Board, you really only have one opportunity to interface with the caucus per year, and that's at convention, and that's at a meeting that lasts only an hour and a half. That's not the way a membership-based organization should be. There are at least three things that we can do to increase communication. First, we can restructure our meeting time. So the majority of our meeting is spent on us talking about issues that are important to us, and not politicians talking about issues that are important to them. The second thing that we can do to increase communication is to create a newsletter that goes out at least quarterly. We can use this newsletter to keep our membership updated on activities in the caucus as well as in the party. Now, this is particularly important for our caucus because about a third of our members are not actually delegates to the state party. That means that they are not tied into the state party's communication network, and that means that they will not get the information unless we give it to them. The third thing that we can do to increase communication and opportunities for us to interface with one another is to have trainings, seminars, and discussions outside of convention and e-board. Now, I know it's cost prohibitive for us to drive or fly up and down the state of California for more meetings, but we don't have to. We can have those trainings and seminars and discussions right here on the internet, and it doesn't cost us a dime. We can use platforms like freeconferencecall.com. You can put 1,000 people on one phone call now, and it doesn't cost a dime. We can use these platforms to get updates to our members from the Congressional Black Caucus or the Legislative Black Caucus. We can use these platforms to have in-depth discussions about issues in our community, and more importantly, solutions. We can also use these platforms to train our members. We can teach people how to run to be delegates in the California Democratic Party or the Democratic National Committee. We can teach people how to apply for standing committees in the California Democratic Party. There are so many things that we can do to raise the level of awareness of our members, and we can do it all for free right here on the internet. The fourth plank of our platform is to support our candidates, elected officials, and allies. Now, let me tell you why this is a must. We go to convention and we go to e-board, and we sometimes get lost and caught up in all of the excitement when we pass resolutions and we pass platforms We get happy and thrilled and excited, and sometimes it's easy to forget that those platforms and resolutions in and of themselves don't change anyone's lives. We need good people in office who are caring and empathetic and concerned about our community to take those platforms and resolutions and turn them into public policy, into actionable items that actually can help us. So that's why we have to support candidates and elected officials and allies. It's because we can't do this work without them. So how do we support candidates? Well, I already talked about using the internet and platforms like freeconferencecall.com to do trainings. Well, we can do trainings for candidates, especially candidates who are running at the local level. I remember the first time that I ran for school board. I really didn't know what I was doing. I learned by trial and error, and for that reason, I lost my first campaign. And I don't know how many members of our caucus have told me the exact same story. Our members don't need to tell that story anymore because we can train them on how to run for office. We can tell them next month on freeconferencecall.com, we'll have a training on how to run for local office, or how to be a campaign treasurer, or how to build a good walk list. Those are things that we know how to do. And those are things that we can teach our members how to do. And those are things we should teach our members how to do. How else can we support candidates? We can phone bank for them. The California Democratic Party has the platform for us to do this. We just have to ask to use it. How do we support our elected officials? I'll give you an example. The California Democratic Party has a legislation committee that endorses legislation. We need to be working hand in hand with the Congressional Black Caucus and the Legislative Black Caucus to identify priority bills to push in the California Democratic Party Legislation Committee. So when those bills hit the floor in Washington or in Sacramento, our elected officials are able to say that those bills have the endorsement of the California Democratic Party. Now that should help with passage, and that will benefit our community. So that is why we have to support elected officials, candidates, and allies. We can't do the work without them. Now the fifth and final plank of our platform, and probably the most important with everything that's gone on as of late, is to keep the caucus in full compliance with the California Democratic Party. The mission of the caucus, its very reason for being, is to represent the interest of African Americans in the state party. We can't do that if we're out of compliance or if we're decertified. If that happens, we have let not ourselves down alone, but we've also let down the 2.5 million African Americans in the state of California who are depending on the caucus to be their voice. Now, I know that the things I'm talking about here are not sexy or exciting, but they're necessary. They're necessary for us to have a functional caucus. They are necessary for us to have an alive and a vibrant caucus. And we have to have that because there are too many issues facing African Americans in the state of California for us not to have a safe space where we can talk about the issues and, more importantly, the solutions. And that's what our caucus should be about. Discussing issues and discussing solutions and working with policymakers to change laws, to turn around those problems in our community. So our families, our neighbors, and our friends can have a better life. My name is Mr. Phillips, and I am a candidate for chair of the California Democratic Party African American Caucus, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.